Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable.
Revolution.
First, what is a revolution?
Revolution is the solution, hey.
The motive of a revolution.
Well, now,
The objective of a revolution.
we televised.
And the result of a revolution. And the methods used in a revolution.
I know you know. Put my gun away. Never gonna put my gun away. Put my gun away. See the mob, you better run away.
This generation of Americans has already had enough, more than enough, of war and hate and oppression.
Hello, Internet. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Thursday evening. It's Thursday, right? Yeah, it's Thursday. It's a beautiful day in sunny California. I am sorry for the rest of the country, the Midwest or wherever it's super freezing, because I just did a 5-mile run and it was 68 degrees. And I ran in a t-shirt and shorts. And it was fantastic and I loved it. So sorry, not sorry. Random Thursday stream because there's so much California stuff that I need to cover, and I'm not going to have anywhere near enough time to cover it all on Sunday. So thought we'd do a special show tonight. So hope everybody's having a good one. If you're here, jump in the chat, say hi. It helps me with my self-esteem. Let me go over. Sorry, I saw a funny comment. There's an article earlier about a stripper that was just extradited from Mexico because she decapitated her boyfriend's head. And somebody just said, I can fix her. You cannot fix her. I'm sorry. So, all right, let me repost this really quick so I can get a few more people in here. Again, if you guys are here, join the chat, say hi. All right. Okay, we got tons of stuff to get into. I have a whole bunch of crap that I want to talk about tonight. So, big news of the day is San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan has announced that he is joining the California Gubernatorial. I like saying that word, the governor's race, and he's joining a very crowded field of Democrats, none of which seem to be able to gain any traction. And I think this is going to throw a big monkey wrench into things for the Katie Porters and the Eric Swalwells of the world. And I think it's a good thing. I'm not endorsing Matt Mahan. I'm not endorsing anybody right now. Be full transparency, I'm leaning towards Steve Hilton personally. But I want to see the two best possible options that we have to choose from. And if you guys aren't aware, California has what's called a jungle primary. And that means that in the primary, the two top vote getters move on. So you could end up with two Democrats potentially. Now, I think the fact that Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton are both running could actually, I think that will hurt any chance of a Republican actually making it onto the main ballot. So I think one of them has to drop out and endorse the other one. And I don't see either of them doing that. If one of them was to drop out and endorse the other one, I feel like it would be Steve Hilton dropping out to endorse Chad Bianco, because I just don't see Chad Bianco dropping out to endorse Steve Hilton. But I think that's what needs to happen, or else the Republican vote's going to get split. And I see Democrats. Well, it's kind of tricky to see if Democrats are really going to rally behind Steve Hilton. I think the Democrat base will, but I don't think he's going to get the support of the party because he's sort of spit in the face a little bit of the party, and I don't think he's got a lot of fans in the state Senate and the Assembly, but we'll see. Danger, what up? Thanks for joining. So if you guys are watching over on Rumble, drop something in the chat. I'm trying something new tonight, and I should be able to see the Rumble chat in the main StreamYard chat here if I'm doing this correctly. So, all right, let's get right into it. News of the day. Steve Hilton is running for California governor. I'm sorry, not Steve Hilton. Well, he's running too, obviously, but Mayor Matt Mahan of San Jose, my hometown. And all in all, for a Democrat, I actually think that Matt Mahan has done a pretty good job in San Jose, though he's got some very fierce critics, a lot of which, because he's seemingly done a good job with the homeless situation in San Jose, but most people, well, a lot of people would say that that's because he just sent the homeless to other surrounding cities like Cupertino and Mountain View and Fremont and stuff like that. So I don't know. I haven't looked enough into his history and like policies that he's actually implemented. I'm sorry. Every time the show starts, my dog likes to start rolling around on the ground behind me. If you can see her, look how cute my dog is. Look how cute she is. That's Scarlett. Say hi to Scarlett, everybody. All right, let's get right into it. Let's go over to Ashley Zavala. She did an interview with Matt Mahan, and we'll see what he has to say for himself, shall we? Let's see. Yep, Ashley Zavala here. All right, let's listen to what Matt Mahan has to say here.
There is a wide field of Democrats already in this race, and many of them, all of them, have really struggled in the polls to really jump ahead and become the front runner. What about your campaign do you think is going to make you any different?
Well, I think what's different is that as a current mayor of a big city in the state that has a track record of driving results on our biggest issues by, frankly, being more accountable, asking the public to hold us accountable so that we change our policies and find things that work. I do think that has been missing in this race. I spent a lot of time engaging with the candidates, sharing ideas. I think we need a more vocal advocate for the things I was just describing around Prop 36, intervening to get people the treatment that they need, making our homeless funding more accountable for outcomes, dealing with cycles of addiction and repeat offense, and using technology to better target interventions and break cycles of crime and addiction. I think there's a lot we can do to deliver better results. We're doing that in San Jose. I think I have a track record, and I'm willing to be vocal about the solutions we need, no matter who it might offend or upset. Care Court is a great idea, but it's the execution that's still missing. And as a former CEO, but also as a former public school teacher, I'm very focused on the execution side of it. How do we actually make sure things connect and work in practice? And can we measure real progress? And I think we need more of that in our state capital.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Matt Mahan, so we'll keep going here. Let's see what Steve Hilton has to say about it, because he definitely had to comment on the situation. So here's Steve Hilton talking about Matt Mahan joining the race. And Steve Hilton just visited San Jose to discuss what Matt Mahan has done to improve the homeless situation. So let's see if Steve Hilton likes Matt Mahan and what he's done with San Jose.
All right, some breaking news for you. Yet another Democrat jumping in the governor's race. This time it's Matt Mahan. He's the mayor of San Jose. I know him a little bit, actually. He's a perfectly nice guy. Met with him last week to talk about homelessness. But here's the thing you need to know. It's in Politico right now this morning. Mahan is squarely in line with Democratic orthodoxy on issues like abortion, gun safety, climate change, and immigration. Great. Democrat orthodoxy on climate change. That's the reason everything is so insanely expensive in California. Gas prices, electric, housing. It's all because of their climate change insanity. And this guy's all for it. We need change in California, not another Democrat.
Can't say I don't disagree with him on any of that stuff. He's making very valid points. The green energy initiative shit in California is why gas is, an extra $1.40 per gallon. And I mean, I don't hear anybody talking about it, but they have this giant offshore wind project planned out in Morro Bay and up in like Humboldt County. And there's so many problems with it. I need to do like a whole episode on it and have some experts on here to talk about how disastrous it's going to be for those, disastrous it will be for those communities. But I would like to see what Matt Mahan's stance is on the offshore wind energy project, because I think this project is going to dwarf the high-speed rail in terms of, shenanigans. for the best term I could think to describe that. So Gavin Newsom was asked about Mayor Matt Mahan joining the race today, and he kind of pretended like he's never heard of him.
Specifically, I'm wondering how you feel about a Democrat running to succeed you, seemingly running a campaign.
I don't know enough about him. I wish him good luck.
He said you jumped blindly into meme land, I believe was the quote.
Well, I've tried to put a mirror up. I don't know that quote.
Specifically,
I don't think Gavin likes San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan too much. Not at all. Just judging by his reaction there. All right, so we'll see what happens there. I would ideally like to see Steve Hilton and Matt Mahan, however you pronounce his name, on the final ballot. I would like to choose from those two. I'm not supporting necessarily either candidate yet, but I would like to have the two best candidates from each party on the final ticket. And of all the Democrats, Matt Mahan seems to be the most sensible. Do I agree with all of his policies? Hell no. There's tons of stuff that I disagree with him on. And I don't know. I bet there's some policies that he has that I'm not even aware of yet that I will dive more into. But yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards Steve Hilton. So we'll see where that goes. All right, let's get into some of this California fraud stuff, because I sort of lump the fraud, the waste, the programs that have been created that are insane, like the free alcohol for people in San Francisco. Yeah, that program exists. I think it just got shut down. I talked about it a couple of years ago. Handing out fentanyl needles, all that stuff, and insane costly projects that have budget and timeline overruns, like the high-speed rail. I sort of lump all of that into the same bucket because it all goes towards our deficit. And is there fraud? Yes. How much? I think it's a lot more than anybody even thinks. But it also includes the insane waste of money on these programs that we constantly do. So let's go over to Wall Street Apes. He's got what's this guy's name? This is the former assembly member, I believe, that is now like a Trump appointee. He's like an attorney that's been put in charge of investigating California fraud. So Wall Street Apes says over 800 million American taxpayer dollars were spent to not work on the California high-speed rail. There's a clause in the high-speed rail called the non-execution of contract, where contractors are owed $170,000 a day if there are any delays whatsoever. We've been able to find out that over 800 million has been paid out to that clause, which means they paid 800 million for zero work. So that's kind of insane. Let's get into this one.
Is there one spot, Assemblyman, where you want to dig in that you think is ripe right now to expose?
I really do. One, there's a lot I've done on the on high-speed rail. I worked with Secretary Duffy, and the reason why they pulled back that $4 billion, here's one aspect I'll give you really quickly, is there's a clause in high-speed rail called non-execution of contract, where contractors are owed $170,000 a day if there are any delays whatsoever. We've been able to find out that over $800 million has been paid out on that clause, which means they paid $800 million for zero work to be done.
Is there one spot?
So keep in mind, the original estimate for how much the high-speed rail is going to cost for the completed project from San Francisco to Los Angeles was supposed to be, I believe, $11 billion. So if they paid $800 million, that's almost 10% of the entire budget for the entire project. That's insane. And I believe we're up to like, what, 30 million, 25 million, or billion, sorry, with a B, on just the section between Merced and what, Bakersfield? Is that what it is? Merced and Bakersfield? Like how insane is that train? Like, who wants to take that train? First of all, have you ever heard anybody say, I can't wait to take a somewhat fast train from Merced to Bakersfield? Like they still have what, 4 mountain ranges to go through? That's going to be the most expensive part of the project, is boring those tunnels. The high-speed rail is it might be the biggest boondoggle in California history. And at this point, they want that one section from Merced to Bakersfield just to be completed, so Gavin can point at something and say he's completed something. But I don't even if they completed it and he tries to hold it up as some sort of trophy, I don't think that's going to do him any good. I think it's actually going to make him look worse. So it's not going to be, there's no way in hell it's going to be done by the time he runs for president. This whole project is fucking insane. All right, let's keep going here. So this is from Dr. Oz. You know what? I found some problems with this one, so I'm not even going to play this one because I'm not sure he's actually on the right track there. So I'm going to skip that one. Let's go over to Wall Street Apes here. California Governor Gavin Newsom announces the state will have a $2.9 billion deficit this year. California is the richest state in the country, taking in the most revenue, and has a budget of $349 billion and is still billions short. Where does all the money go? That is the question of the decade, this last decade. Where did all the money go? That's what's on every California's mind, including Democrats. Where the fuck did all the money go? I mean, we are charged out the ass every turn we make. We got some of the, I think it's the highest state income tax in the country at like 9%, all the way up to 12% for uber wealthy people. Obviously, the $1.40 a gallon on top of the gas prices in California that are already high because of the special blend that we have to have here. And then this isn't talked about enough because it pisses me off every day I drive to work. Like Highway 880 up here in the Bay Area, and I'm sure it's the same in Southern California. Highway 880, Highway 680, Highway 580, they have all taken the left lane, which used to be the diamond lane, the carpool lane that you could drive in if you had 2 or more passengers. That is no longer the case. You can't drive in that lane if you have 2 or more passengers unless you pay. And the cost is insane. You'll see they put up like electronic billboards that tell you between this exit and this exit, it's going to cost you this much. So you'll get charged $5 to drive 10 miles, and that's daily each way. So there's people that if they want to use that lane, they got to pay $20 each way to drive from like San Jose to Oakland. Say you got that commute. Yeah, if you want to not sit in traffic, or San Jose to San Francisco. If you have that commute and you want to use that lane, you got to pay like $40 a day. So they've literally made it more expensive to just get to work for everyday ordinary people, and increased traffic because now, and the whole carpool lane was originally implemented to reduce emissions, to reduce smog, to encourage people to carpool. Now it's not that at all. It's super frustrating. And then the bridge tolls, they go up every year. Every year, the bridge tolls get more expensive. Insane car registration. So we pay all of this stuff, like not even talking about sales tax, just to drive. So we've got the $1.40 a gallon just to drive. You've got the toll lanes that they created that used to be free. And then the bridge tolls go up every year, and you've got insane registration costs. Now they want to charge us per mile. Did you guys know that? They are, we'll talk about it in a little bit. I got it, probably in the second hour, but they are really talking about charging us per mile that we drive. And it's insane. Like all of these things, car registration, the $1.40 per gallon, bridge tolls, the carpool lane that they charge you to drive. That's 4 different ways that we pay just to use the highways in California. And our roads are still shit. They don't maintain the roads. They use this money to create infrastructure like these big electronic billboards and the cameras that are connected to them and the fast track devices that they sense. All of that stuff costs billions of dollars, and they look at it as an investment to recoup more money from ordinary average Californians. They hate the middle class. They hate us. They don't even maintain the roads. All they use the roads for is to extract more money from us so they can fund dubious projects. It's bonkers. All right, let's keep going here. Where did all the money go? Where did all the money go, you guys?
California faces a nearly $3 billion budget deficit as Governor Gavin Newsom winds down his final year in office.
And today his administration unveiled his proposal for a balanced budget. ABC 7 News political reporter Monica Madden is here with the overall outlook. Monica?
Larry and Kristen, Newsom's administration is forecasting a $2.9 billion shortfall. And if that sounds like a major change, you're not imagining it. The nonpartisan Legislative Analyst Office previously projected the deficit at about $18 billion. So while it's a lot smaller, it still could mean cuts later in the year.
So that means it's probably closer to $18 billion.
$349 billion. That's the budget Governor Gavin Newsom's office outlined Friday for the two-term Democrats' final year in office.
Ensuring that we have a sustainable fiscal plan.
Departments might see lower funding, but the Department of Finance says that's due to loss of one-time funding programs.
We're not proposing significant cuts in the budget.
It comes a day after Newsom's State of the State, where he projected a sunny economic forecast.
Because our economy's growing. Our population's growing. Why? Because of the energy and daring of entrepreneurs that are growing and dominating in the industries of the future.
Actually, the LA Times just put out a report showing that our population actually dropped. That's weird. Why did our population drop? Oh, is it because they closed the border? And was that the only reason that our population was growing? Because we incentivize illegal immigration through insane sanctuary state policies? Yeah, it's weird. Weird how that works.
Which Republicans told me is clouded judgment.
People are leaving this state for a reason. They've left it in droves, and there is a reason why, and it's because of bad policy and bad leadership.
Wasting so many dollars that are hard-earned dollars that we're taking from the taxpayers, and we need to be more efficient, get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse.
California will lose more than $1.4 billion in federal funding in areas like food assistance and healthcare.
California will not be able to fill the holes that have been left by the federal government and the federal administration.
Setting the stage for fiscal battles among Democratic leaders.
We have to make tough decisions, and it's establishing those priorities, especially with limited resources. We know that the out years.
Limited resources. They put out a $349 billion budget. And they're talking about how we have limited resources. We're the most highly populated state in America with the highest taxes. They charge us every time we turn around. And he's talking about how we have limited resources. This fucking...
for our state budget do not look good. High deficits.
The proposal projects $9 billion more in revenue than expected, betting big on tech.
A big driver we do know of our revenue performance to date has been the performance of the stock market,
which is not without risk.
A lot of talk about has been driven by the tech industry, particularly AI. And so if there were to be some changes there, it obviously would have an impact.
And a lot of people are anticipating there's going to be the AI is a massive bubble right now, because you see this giant circle jerk going on between NVIDIA, OpenAI, and is it Intel or Oracle? They're just giving each other money in a big circle. And there's been no monetization of anything yet. It's looking a lot like the original .com bubble, to where the bottom's just going to fall out of all of it. It's all just crazy speculation right now. And if that's what they're counting on, oh man, that could be trouble.
And one point of emphasis the governor made on Thursday was education, saying this would be the most significant investment year in public ed, which was one area he's actually banking on providing more money for, like his pitch for $1 billion in additional spending for high-need schools. Now, none of this is official. There's a lot to hash out in the legislature.
You guys, my sister's in the chat, and she called me gay. I'm not gay, I promise. And yeah, Danny, you behave. Wally World, thanks, man. You're not late. You are always on time as soon as you arrive. Yeah, I'm just doing a random show tonight. Too much California shit that we got to get into. I'm gonna try to get through as fast as possible because I have a lot pulled up that I want to talk about. So let's keep going here. Again, from Wall Street Apes, Chief Investment Officer running for California State Controller says he believes the fraud in California is roughly $250 billion. What was our budget again? $347 billion. Well, he's just quoting the conversation right now. So I'll just play the video.
An expert in this, you're running for state controller, which is our last line of defense between fraud and the taxpayer dollar. So let's looking at California. How widespread is this problem?
If you think of Minnesota as the freshman team, we're Division I college. Okay, so we have obviously a much larger economy, much larger population, much wealthier state. I estimate that the number is around 250 billion, and that's excluding some categories. Like I haven't even touched the pension spiking issue and some of the issues around that. It's massive. We know 55 billion from employment development from, during the pandemic, we sent out unemployment checks to prisoners and gang members. We literally sent them to the prisons for people. Medi-Cal, Medicaid, Medi-Cal, our system there, that number over the last 5 years is approaching, in my estimate, close to 100 billion. We know about 26 billion in the homeless. We've got problems with CalFresh. We've got problems with CalWorks, IHHS, which is our home healthcare system. It is absolutely rampant.
In every program that he didn't even mention Project Home Key. Yeah, it's Danny. You did call me gay. What I see it up here. Hello, my little big G star. What does that mean, Danny? I know what that means. I know what you called me. Danger. Danny Lonnie says hi. Okay. Let's keep going here. So much crap to get into. So we're going to be talking a lot about California fraud tonight. So let's go over to James Lee. He says there's a fraud of epic proportions unfolding in West Los Angeles, a $1 billion web of bribery, lobbying, and nonprofit grift, turning what is a sanctuary for disabled veterans into a playground for the rich. If you care about exposing real fraud, please share. So let's share. Let's see what James Lee has to say. James Lee was recently fired from The Hill, which makes me angry because he was a little too outspoken about how insane Israel is. So, James Lee.
I've just discovered one of the largest cases of homeless fraud in California. There's all of this land in West LA that is, by law, supposed to go to housing veterans, except now they're making billions of dollars leasing it out to rich elites and mega corporations. It says right here in the original deed that the land must be used to permanently maintain a home for disabled soldiers. Well, tell me, does this look like veterans housing? We got a UCLA baseball stadium. We got an oil drilling company. We have a movie studio and a bunch of other illegal uses of this land. Anyway, I've been putting together this documentary with the help of Mr. Checkpoint, and it exposes this entire multi-billion-dollar scheme and who's behind it. The time has come to expose these fraudsters. Here's a little preview.
This man is incompetent. This man is incompetent. What you're telling me is that you're prepared to move trash, but you're not prepared to move disabled veterans. That is what you guys are telling me. That is what your highly funded department is telling me.
A sprawling 388-acre parcel of land located in West Los Angeles, beginning at the corner of Wilshire and San Vicente Boulevards, represents one of the most valuable and contested pieces of real estate in the United States. It is also the site of a major crime scene, a case of staggering fraud of the highest magnitude. Originally deeded in 1888 by private philanthropists as a permanent sanctuary for disabled soldiers, the land has been systematically stripped of its noble purpose over the last half century through a combination of bureaucratic negligence, legislative maneuvering, and outright criminal corruption, and transformed from a home for veterans into a playground for the neighboring elite and a revenue engine for commercial interests. For example, UCLA runs a massive multi-million-dollar baseball complex here. The students of the ultra-exclusive Brentwood School play tennis and swim in Olympic-sized swimming pools here. Even an oil company drills for profit here. Meanwhile, on the sidewalks just outside the gates, veterans of the United States Armed Forces sleep in squalid tents, dying of exposure and neglect on the doorstep of the land that they are legally entitled to. And today, we're going to follow the money, we're going to name the villains, and we're going to show you how, after 50 years of corruption, the veterans finally have a chance to take back the land that's rightfully theirs. In 1888, as the United States grappled with the long-term care of Civil War veterans, Senator John P. Jones and philanthropists Arcadia Bandini de Stearns Baker and Colonel Robert Symington Baker donated approximately.
All right, that's all you're getting out of this clip. For the full video, you got to go watch James Lee over on YouTube. That's at 5149 James Lee. You guys go check him out. I'm sure most of you guys already follow him, but if you don't, you should. He does really good work, especially regarding California shenanigans. So let's keep going here. So this is more fraud out in LA. Seems to be a lot of fraud in LA for whatever reason. But this is, again, from Wall Street Apes. Independent journalist was able to gain access to a building in Los Angeles, California, because the page-in system to get in was broken. What he discovered was dozens of homeless healthcare and hospice businesses in one building. Some of the doors don't even have signs for a business, and many of the names just sound fake. So this is speculation. It just looks suspicious. There's nothing proven here. But if we've learned anything about, fraudulent homeless industrial complex companies that, buy up hotels because of Project Home Key that they're supposed to refurbish, and then nothing ends up happening, like the guy from Shangri-La that just pretty much embezzled all that money and used it to buy fancy things. I suspect there's a lot of these shell companies being created. It's just you need an address, a location, and you get money from the state because you say that you're doing stuff for the homeless, but you don't actually ever do anything. So let's see what this dude has to say here.
All right, you guys. So I had to actually get my way in here because the numbers weren't working to be paged in. But look at what this is uncovering. Hospice, home health care, Allegiance Home Health, Honeywell Home Health, Wellspring Home Health, Golden Touch Home Health, Amazing Health, Dignity Care Hospice, Moonlight Hospice Incorporated, Thousand Oaks Hospice Incorporated, Premier Home Care Agency, Altruistic Hospice Incorporated, Capital Hospice Care Incorporated. Some of those don't even have signs on their doors, and the ones that did weren't answering or had a Ring camera. There were 2 people that were actually in the office. They gave me brochures and numbers, so we're gonna find out what's going on. And I walked 7 more feet, and what do we have? Sheltering Arms Hospice Care. It's absolutely ridiculous. CareView Hospice Care. Dude, another building with several agencies.
So you saw the hours on the door. That plays. Who knows if he's there within hours? But all of these businesses should be audited. I mean, the federal government needs to be, I hate using the power of the federal government to crack down on stuff, but I'm not using it to crack down on people. I'm using it to crack down on California government waste and fraud and abuse. And all of these companies, these organizations, they all need to be audited. Every single one of them. How much money you got coming in? Where's it going? That's it. Just how much money you got coming in? Where's the money going? What are you using it for? I mean, pretty simple auditing process. Bank statements, and then what did you spend it on? And I'm sure you will uncover a lot of shenanigans with that stuff. So let's keep going here. So this is another. It's not fraud, but it's wasted money. So this is regarding the free alcohol that they gave out to people in San Francisco. Yeah, they don't just give out crack pipes and fentanyl needles. They give out free alcohol. I covered this like a year or 2 ago. They would literally give you like 1 shot or 1 drink or something like that every few hours. It's like this. I know it sounds insane, but this really happened. They really did this. And let's listen to John Kobe talk about it.
Let's talk about the homelessness, because he has admitted that $24 billion in homeless money over the years has disappeared and it was spent, but nobody knows what it was spent on and if it did any good. And that's what this one fascinated me, because he actually admitted it.
Yeah, well, he only admitted to 24 billion. The state legislative analyst upped it to 37 billion. And that money disappeared into the black hole of newly created nonprofits and NGOs,
I believe this is Katie Grimes from the California Globe. She's fantastic.
non-governmental organizations. And those people hired, friends and family, and the CEO was making $250 a year, and they just would spend the money as fast as humanly possible. I did an article that posted today just highlighting one of these organizations in San Francisco, which is supposed to be providing free shots of alcohol to homeless alcoholics. And in 5 years, at $16 million a year, they've served 55 clients.
No, you're making that up. Wait.
So, think about that. It's kind of like the amount of money that they get versus how many people that they've actually housed. 55 clients, $16 million per year, and they serve 55 clients. Those are some pretty expensive shots, if you ask me. Where does all the money go? Where does it go?
This is tax money, and it buys free shots of booze to street drunks.
Yes, and it's been going on for a number of years. It was an organization that already existed, but they beefed it up during COVID, ostensibly to keep these homeless alcoholics out of emergency rooms. And it's under the we're kind of trying to reduce harm to these people. And as I said, I'm sorry, giving alcohol to alcoholics is like giving crack to crackheads and heroin to heroin addicts. It doesn't end it; it makes it worse.
And we're doing that too. We're just not handing out the crack ourselves. We're handing out the fentanyl needles, the little rubber things to tie off your arm, crack pipes, and then they just allow drug dealers on the streets of San Francisco to operate with impunity. And it's everything. It's like a big pot, or not pot. It's like a big crack and fentanyl flea market out there in the Tenderloin, and it's insane. That's only like one area that this shit's going on in. Sacramento, LA, Oakland, here in Santa Cruz, all the same shit. It's insane. So this is Bill, Asaley again, and he's talking about launching an investigation into the $24 billion that they just said we don't know where it went over 5 years. $24 billion in homelessness funding, and again, over a 5-year period, $24 billion, and they could not account for it, and they refused to audit it properly. And Bill Asaley is launching an investigation into it. Gavin Newsom responded to this, but let's keep going here, Danny. Okay, what's the extra despicable about that lost place is the fact that one of our hospice care, literally people who are days away from dying, if even one of those hospice care businesses are legit. Yeah, I don't know. I doubt any of them are legit personally, but I mean, that video didn't prove anything, unfortunately, until those organizations get audited. We're not going to be able to point to anything. So let's listen to Bill Asaley here. Oh, stand by. I got to share it.
Over the last 5 years, California spent $24 billion on homelessness, and it only got worse. So, of course, the question is, where did the money go? What happened to the $24 billion? So I launched this task force, and just quickly, I mean, federal investigations do take time. I know the public wants action. It takes time to put these cases together. This is the third arrest we've made. This guy that we arrested today got $23 million in taxpayer dollars. That's federal, state, and local, and did not use it on the homeless. He used it on himself. And we showed a lot of it today at our press conference.
So when we think about how expensive California has become to...
Over the last 5 years, California spent $24 billion.
All right, so what he's Gavin Newsom responded to this, and he says, no surprise here that MAGA can't get their facts straight. We're glad this local fraud was caught, but for Billy to take credit is laughable. Fact, this was investigated by the LAHSA and local authorities before Mr. First Assistant got into office. Fact, Mr. First Assistant is taking credit for something that started before he was in office and before he launched his task force. Fact, there's nothing missing. 24 billion. Anyone can see where the state funds went. That's bullshit. That is 100% horseshit. He puts a website up here, accountability.ca.gov. We are glad the federal government is also pursuing charges here, but as California leads the fight against serious fraudsters, we welcome partnership rather than gaslighting. I can't with Gavin Newsom. How come none of this fraud that was investigated by California seems to be caught until Trump's in office? It's weird timing if you ask me. And the guy they're talking about here is this dude, Alexander Sufer. So this is also from Bill Lassaley. This is the gentleman he's talking about here. Alexander Sufer, 42 years old, of Westwood, the executive director of the charity Abundant Blessings. So it sounds a lot like the organizations that dude just went, he went to a building and found a bunch of different hospice cares. So this charity is called Abundant Blessings, was arrested this morning on a federal criminal complaint charging him with wire fraud. So it's federal charges. Okay, if California did their own investigation, why wasn't he charged? These are federal charges. Okay, you investigated him and you found wrongdoing, but you never charged him. That almost seems worse to me. Sufer is accused of lining his pockets with millions of taxpayer dollars intended to combat the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles. Instead, he allegedly used the money to purchase a $7 million home, took luxury trips across the United States, and paid for his children's private school tuition, among other luxury items. He will make his initial appearance in federal court this afternoon. Mr. Sufer is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. For too long, California has left the spigot of taxpayer dollars on and has not provided anywhere near enough oversight on how the money is being spent. Thankfully, the federal government is stepping in to enforce the law. We are demanding accountability, something the state's leaders for years have failed to do. This is the third significant arrest from our homelessness, fraud, and corruption task force, and we're just getting started. Well, so Bill, these seem like just like fall guys to me. Because if they are embezzling all this money and spending it on fancy things, there's no way that California State Senate members, the Assembly, members from the Assembly, potentially Rob Bonta, potentially Gavin Newsom, didn't know anything about it. And if they knew something about it, does that mean that they're getting kickbacks on the back end? Hey, we're going to fund your fraudulent organization. You can embezzle a bunch of money as long as you put money back into our nonprofits that we created or into our campaigns. I want to see, I won't be satisfied with Bill Lassaley's investigation until we start seeing state senators, state assembly members, potentially higher politicians in California being perp walked and charged with fraud. Because there's no way the politicians don't know what's going on. There's no way they're not on the take too. This isn't just like a bunch of bad actors and they're just throwing money around all these. They're getting paid on the back end. They have to be. There's no way all of this stuff is going to happen and it's just like, oopsie daisies, we don't know where the money went. Look how bad we investigated them. We didn't charge them. We investigated them. We found wrongdoing, but we didn't charge them for whatever reason. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense at all. So more shenanigans. This is where the homeless money in California goes. Democrats gave NGO $23 million. The NGO used it to buy a mansion in Los Angeles. So they're talking about the same guy here. So this is the same. What is his name again? This is Alexander Sufer that they're talking about here. So let's go to this one.
Say this man was contracted with the city and county of Los Angeles to house and feed up to 600 homeless people, but instead he was misusing tens of millions of dollars to live a luxurious life. Exclusive Fox video shows the Fed's early morning bust here at the LA mansion. 42-year-old Alexander Sufer was arrested. Suker's $125,000 Land Rover was also seized by law enforcement. The feds say Suker defrauded the city and county of LA out of $23 million in taxpayer dollars for not only his mansion and car, but a second home in Greece, luxury vacations, designer clothes, and private schools.
He was living the high life while the people suffering homelessly on the streets with no shelter, no food. They're living out in the streets. People are literally dying. And this guy is out vacationing, buying homes, buying Range Rovers, and going shopping.
Prosecutors say Sucre was supposed to provide 3 nutritional meals a day to the homeless, but during one inspection, Sucre only had canned beans and ramen noodles on hand. The feds say Sucre lied about various aspects of abundant blessings, including fake vendors, facilities, and the homeless actually getting meals. The U.S. Attorney's Office in L.A. says they are actively investigating at least 12 other similar fraud cases here in California. First Assistant U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley says there's a tremendous amount of fraud in this state and that today's bust of one man who misused $23 million alone may show how little oversight there is.
California was pushing this money out quickly. A lot of money went out the door with, frankly, very little vetting, very little checks and balances, and he's one of the individuals that got it.
The suspect is scheduled to make his first appearance later today. He faces up to 20 years if convicted on a federal case. The local district attorney is also planning on prosecuting.
So this is on top of the guy from Shangri-La who got busted doing the exact same thing. He sets up a nonprofit, a non-governmental organization that says he's going to provide services. This guy was supposed to feed the homeless. The guy from Shangri-La was part of the Project Home Key fraud, where you buy a hotel, like a dilapidated hotel, and you're supposed to renovate it and turn it into housing for the homeless. None of it got done. Instead, he spent it all on same shit, cars and trips abroad and all sorts of dumb shit. And again, there's no way the politicians don't know about this. It's, where does all the money go, you guys? All right. That's kind of enough with the fraud for now. I'm sure there will be, I hope there will be other busts, but I don't want to just see these low-level people that are just setting up non-governmental. I don't want to just see the non-governmental organization people getting busted. I want to see politicians perp walked. That's what I want to see. So it's insane because California is like, yeah, we're going to investigate ourselves. And then if we find wrongdoing, like Gavin Newsom claims the LAHSA or whatever it is, yeah, they investigated him. They started this investigation long ago, but Bill Asaley's taking credit for it. Well, they charged him. The feds charged him. What did you guys do? So you did the investigation, but what did you find? Why didn't you charge him? Where did all the money go? We're going to investigate ourselves. It's all fucking garbage. It drives me insane. All right, let's go over to Katie Grimes here from the California Globe. She says, California does not cooperate with ICE. Senate Bill 54 made sure that California Governor Gavin Newsom dangerously lies about it, putting California citizens and law enforcement in danger every day. SB 54 calls for prosecution of any California law enforcement member who assists in deportation. So there's been tons of cases where local law enforcement, whether it's municipal law enforcement or the sheriff's department or highway patrol, they arrest somebody, they determine immediately that it's an illegal immigrant, and often for violent crimes, and they get bail or they get cut loose, and ICE contacts them. They're like, hey, you got this guy in custody. We need you to detain him so we can get over there and deport him. And they don't. They refuse to. And that's because law enforcement members can be criminally charged in the California penal system. The cops themselves can be criminally charged if they cooperate with ICE. So, but that law conflicts with federal law and federal immigration rules. El Dorado DA Vern Pearson said in 2023, the legislative history of SB 54 demonstrates its intent to shield those in the state illegally from federal enforcement is in direct conflict with the intent of Congress to keep an open channel of communication between federal and local authorities. So they 100% do not cooperate with ICE. And we'll illustrate that more later. But let's see what Gavin Newsom. So Gavin Newsom sat down with Ben Shapiro and did a little interview. So like the two most annoying people on earth had a conversation that was very difficult to get through. But let's listen to what Gavin Newsom says. Did Gavin say that we cooperate with ICE?
California cooperates with ICE. I mean, if some guy jumped out of an unmarked car in a van with a mask on, tried to grab me, I mean, by definition, you're going to push back. Just ripped off the streets by masked men. This is a moral moment. ICE, unmasked. What are you afraid of? What did Donald Trump do? He sent out his masked men. He sent out his secret police. And right outside are dozens and dozens of ICE agents.
All of this is about immigration enforcement. And
that's about authoritarian tendencies. People disappearing, happening in the United States of America today. These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry.
California.
Okay, so California cooperates with ICE. Is that true? Let's see what the Bob Johnson, who is the, I don't know if he's the captain, but he's with the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department. And let's see what he has to say about cooperating with ICE.
That we're going to be here for you side by side. So as you're getting off those trains, you're getting off those buses, yeah, high probability you're going to see somebody in uniform. But if they're not masked, if they're wearing tan and green or blue or black, trust me, they're there for your protection. They're there for your protection. If they're masked and they're trying to hide their identity, then somebody hasn't communicated with us, because we've made it very clear to our officers, our workforce, is to be open, transparent, and engaged with this community for the.
So he's saying that if the ICE agents are there, the ones with the masks on, that they haven't communicated with the Sheriff's Department. Well, why would they? You've already SB 54. That was also from Katie Grimes from the California Globe. She says, so SB 54 prohibits local police departments and sheriff's deputies from assisting ICE officers and enforcing federal immigration laws. So why would ICE try to coordinate with them? They're prohibited from helping ICE.
Next few weeks. And that is also our goal on each and every day. We have spent decades building this community, building that trust.
We've spent decades importing illegal immigrants into California due to sanctuary state policies.
Conversations with many, and I see the faces out here over the past year of trying to give you as much information as we can, knowing about what we know is going to happen and when it's going to happen and if it's going to happen. But without that communication, we can't. So I urge our federal partners, if there is something that you're planning to do in our community, please be transparent and reach out to your local officials so we can work as best we can. It was mentioned
as best we can. You mean you can't. You're prohibited from working with them. Notice how he calls them partners. It's bullshit. All of it's bullshit and gaslighting.
We're not going to change our policies or protocols. We will not be working or supporting ICE immigration enforcement. But I want you to, again, remember, if you see us out there, we're there to help you. And we will be there. So don't hesitate to contact somebody wearing a uniform as these events unfold, if they're walking around trying to engage and make sure that you remain safe. So again, thank you.
Okay. All right. So not cooperating with ICE. All right. This is just funny. And God, I love this country. But trigger language warning. So this happened at the Santa Clara City Council meeting, and this happened on January 27th. And so a guy in a Batman costume decided he wanted to speak. So let's listen to what he had to say.
What the fuck are we doing here? Seriously, you have had months to prepare for this upcoming event.
So they're talking about the Super Bowl.
Give a damn if this is outside of decorum. People are dying on our streets every single day.
Why is he wearing the Batman costume? Actually, I don't care. I love it.
In this country, because we allow this federal government to walk all over you. Look me in the eye. Can any one of you go home to your children and tell them that you did everything you could to protect their classmates, to protect them? I don't think you can, with the exception of Park. Thank you. I am disgusted by each and every one of you, with the exception of Councilmember Park, that you have not done something more. You need to affirm that no city resources will go to ICE, that no cooperation will be given to them. Because as of right now...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was actually angry that they weren't cooperating with ICE, but this is just a leftist lunatic. It's still funny.
I stand in front of a council of cowards. And if you do not act, you're not just cowards, you are traitors. Traitors to each and every individual you serve. You need to do something about getting these policies into writing, ensuring that your officers do not cooperate with ICE, ensuring that they cannot use city resources, that they cannot tap into city data before more people die. Yes, more people die. I don't think I need to go into how many people have been shot, how many people have been taken, how many children have been abducted and used as bait. I don't need to tell you that. You see it on the TV every single day. I don't want.
All right. I'm sorry. I've heard enough. It's just a leftist lunatic in a Batman costume, but it's still hilarious. But like these are the people that I'm surrounded by. I can't. It's fucking lunatics everywhere. All right, let's go over to Ashley Zavala. She says, okay, so now let's talk about the wealth tax that has been proposed. So I thought Gavin supported this in the beginning, but he seems to be backtracking on that. But it's still an issue. Danny, you don't love that guy. He's a leftist lunatic. But he still was hilarious. I just wish he was actually making a point. It would have made it so much better. So yeah, Gavin says that he is actually against the wealth tax. How interesting that he's coming out against it.
It will put us in a very uncompetitive position. And I think there's some evidence to bear fruit to that. And this particular initiative is just really badly drafted in the context of supporting all those other causes that I hold dear, that I've been advocating for, that I've been supporting, promoting, expanded childcare, and preschool for all, and the work I'm doing, high dose tutoring and community schools. Those are not included. And I just think that's a substance abuse treatment. It's not, housing is not. And so those things matter. And so on every level, so I just expressed that. I can't solve for everything. I just raised $118 million on Prop 50. It will put us in a very uncompetitive.
So apparently Gavin Newsom is actually going against the state Senate and Assembly regarding the wealth tax. How interesting. All right, let's talk about some local Santa Cruz news. So this is just another example of like leftist waste. There's a old train track that runs between like Santa Cruz and Watsonville. It runs along the coast, and they've been trying to turn it into a trail, but it's another just giant boondoggle. It's not in comparison to the high-speed rail or anything, but it's a ton of waste and money because it's just they want to put in a trail. They want to put in a paved path, but there's tons of bureaucracy that they have to deal with. And this guy sort of breaks it down. This is the rail trail in Santa Cruz that they're talking about here. And I just thought it was worthy of talking about a little bit. This guy breaks it down pretty well in like 3 minutes.
I just helped take down a $5 billion money laundering scheme that got banned from Reddit, Nextdoor, and put on an FBI watch list in the process.
Let's walk. Time to go.
Excuse me, who are you? This is the absolute batshit true story about the Santa Cruz rail trail scam. Now, most of the developed world understands that trains make a lot of sense if you have the population density, tax base, and economic centers to support them. Santa Cruz is not that. We're the second smallest county in the state, with the only real industry being mountain bikes and a flying car company. And for people to afford the most expensive housing market in the country, about a third of workers commute over Highway 17 to make a buck in Silicon Valley. Nothing that necessitates a train along the coast. And with no freight or economic centers, the line's been abandoned for 20 years. And this is where shit gets crazy, because one day the second smallest county decided to build the most expensive per capita commuter train in the world, $4 to $6 billion. And public support for the project all hinged on the guarantee that there would also be a bike path. But for obvious reasons, a bike path alongside the rails ends up costing 50 to 80 times more than if you just put it on top of the rail bed.
So the rail, like, there's no reason that we need a train. They should have just, the track's been abandoned for 20 years. They should just tear up the track and turn it into a trail. You can keep all the old bridges, and it's still, you could tell it's like an old train right of way, and you can keep all the old infrastructure, just put a freaking trail on top of it. But no, they wanted to have like a little light rail system out here that nobody will use.
Firing 30 new bridges, loading concrete viaducts, retaining walls, grading, and drainage. And with the capital cost of $2 million per train rider, you might as well pay these people to quit their job and stay off the freeway. Now, the project would make a lot of sense if you had a civil engineering firm and had close ties to the government. Enter Mark Massetti Miller. Being the lead architect and financier of the rail plan, his company was first in line to receive millions of dollars in civil engineering contracts. And good on Mark for doing what every bureaucrat adjacent businessman would do in that situation. situation. But the real money in saying that there's going to be a commuter train in 50 years is establishing a transportation corridor and preempting local zoning ordinances for high-density development, also known as transit-oriented development. Now, I don't like being lied to, and I certainly don't like being called names on Nextdoor for knowing the truth. So I made 24 videos highlighting the insanity of the project and its supporters. And this is where I get in trouble with the law, because after putting $100 of pressure treated down to repair a pedestrian crossing in Aptos, not really out of genuine concern for people's safety, but to highlight the incompetence of the RTC and advocate for community control, they tried bringing the hammer down on me, and I only know about it through a Freedom of Information Act request. After I offered to pull my lumber up, they concocted a credible threat to alter or vandalize rail infrastructure. They then contacted the Santa Cruz Sheriff and some chick in the Department of Homeland Security. They then start brainstorming for contacts in the FBI and the Domestic Terrorism Unit. Sent in a cease and desist letter that my mailman took care of, and nothing else came of it. In 2022, some train idiot smashed the window out of my van, and an organized troll farm infiltrated Reddit and Nextdoor moderation to have me and other dissidents banned for life. And just as the train narrative was collapsing, the state of California threw us $100 million to build a trail alongside the track, the biggest active transportation grant in state history for the most expensive commuter train and bike path in history. But that $100 million wasn't even half of what was needed to build 7 miles of trail. And this is eventually how we won, because if we couldn't afford to build a $250 million segmented trail, then we'd have to return all that money. So after 20 years and $50 million in studies, they're just going to pull the tracks and build the trail. And this is probably the last video I'll make on the topic, so thanks for sticking with me.
So the whole thing's just another giant boondoggle, and it's, look what they did to this guy. And that's what these maniacs do. That's what these leftist maniacs do. Is anybody gets in their way, they try to crush them. They contacted the Department of Homeland Security on this guy because he put down some freaking pressure treated lumber. It's insane. Well, that's not why they contacted. They just wanted to destroy the guy because he's not for the rail trail system. And Danny, no, this is not the Roaring Camp track. This is not the track that runs between Henry Cowell in Felton down to Santa Cruz, though there is some shenanigans going on with that one as well. They're actually kind of going, the city, I believe, or the county is going to war because they want to turn that into a trail. But Roaring Camp actively uses that train. So the train that they actually use, that people pay to use because it's private, they do want to destroy that one. They want to make it so Roaring Camp can't do the beach train anymore. From my understanding, I need to look into it more, but it sounds like they want to get rid of that track and turn it into a trail. So the other train that runs east to west, the Roaring Camp train runs north to south, and they want to get rid of the private rail that people pay to use that is still active, that they use every day, especially during the summer, and then during Christmas, they do the Christmas train. They want to get rid of that because the city can't make any money off of that. But they can, if they build a trail, they can give no bid contracts to contractors to take decades to build a trail that people would use. People would use that trail. It'd be a really cool trail to do. But what's funny is you could much easier put a trail next to that train than next to the train that they want to build that doesn't currently exist, that won't provide any value. So it's just, the whole thing's just a bureaucratic boondoggle. All right, we'll keep going. I got a little more Santa Cruz news. So apparently they're going to be getting rid of the Catalyst Club. Danny, it'll probably bum you out. Catalyst Club, famous Santa Cruz venue that's had tons of huge artists. It's a really small, cozy venue. Sounds great in there. Well, yeah, apparently they're going to be tearing it down and building a 8-story high-rise. So I'll read this quick article. So the Catalyst, a well-known music venue in downtown Santa Cruz. Let me share that. Oh, I am sharing it. A well-known music venue in downtown Santa Cruz could be demolished to make way for a 7-story apartment complex proposed by GPR Ventures, a Silicon Valley-based real estate investment firm. While the Catalyst is the prominent tenant, it does not own the property, which was listed for sale in July for over $4 million. Before the listing was removed, developers submitted a pre-application to the city last month to assess the feasibility of a housing project on the site. So again, a private business that everybody loves. Everybody loves the Catalyst Club, but it's private. The city can't make any money off of it. So what do? They sell it out from under them. In Santa Cruz, the Catalyst is seen as part of the city's cultural fabric, 100%. What's funny is the people of Santa Cruz will support this. Oh, we need more housing. We need more housing shit. The people are Sorry, don't get me started on the locals. Downtown Santa Cruz is like the most progressive area in California, if you ask me. It's insane. You go down there and it's just, Black Lives Matter and pride flags everywhere. It's everybody over there is bonkers. A local shared one of my first concerts were here at the Catalyst, so it means a lot to me. Another community member said, this is a place where everybody can hang out and have a good time, and tearing it down would be a big disaster for the community as a whole. And downtown Santa Cruz is a vibrant place. Downtown Santa Cruz is cool. And the Catalyst Club is smack in the middle of downtown. When they have concerts there, it helps all of the surrounding businesses because people go and they get dinner and, buy merchandise and shit from all the local stores. It helps the downtown. This 7-story high-rise that they want to build there is not going to help downtown in any possible way. There's going to be affordable housing right there. If anything, it's going to increase homelessness around the area, which we already have a huge problem of homelessness in Santa Cruz. Despite attempts from KSBW 8, there's been no response from the Catalyst or GPR Ventures. The redevelopment could also affect stores connected to the building, including Cat Alley, the bar directly above the Catalyst. The Santa Cruz resident expressed, Santa Cruz is losing its character. The Catalyst has a lot of character. While Lauren Ahern with Cat Alley Street Bar noted, I would think that if you're going to bring thousands of people to live downtown, you want someplace for them to go. There is a talk of the Catalyst relocating within the new building, but music fans doubt the practicality of a nightclub and apartment complex coexisting. And yeah, what are you going to do? You're going to tear down the Catalyst and then build this 7-story high-rise and put like a different music venue downstairs? It defeats the whole purpose of the Catalyst Club because it's the old building with the acoustics. It's just, that's part of its charm. Daniel Gross with the Cat Alley Street Bar commented, if anybody else has lived near the club and with the beats from the bass, hitting all around, nobody's going to be living on top of the nightclub. Several developers, including those outside of GPR Ventures, are pushing for new projects as part of a larger effort to revitalize Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz doesn't need to be revitalized. Santa Cruz is already a vibrant, awesome place, and it's being destroyed by this type of shit. The Catalyst lease lasts until 2028, so demolition is not imminent unless developers buy out the lease. For now, Santa Cruz residents will have to wait and see. This place has been around forever, and yeah, it's new beginnings and all. Like, I'm all for new changes and everything, but to take the thing away from Santa Cruz is really going to have an effect on the locals, said a community member. Developers have until May to decide whether to move forward with the full proposal. And yeah, you won't see anybody outside with picket signs trying to protect the Catalyst Club because it's not. The whole thing sucks. Oh man, Danny, we saw Primus. I was with you when we saw Primus there, dude. Come on. Remember, Les Claypool got all pissed because people kept throwing shit on stage. All right, so this is okay. So this is funny. This is from Scott Wiener. So Scott Wiener is running for Congress. He's running for Nancy Pelosi's old seat, and he was doing sort of a town hall on stage with 2 other candidates, and it was so stupid. What they did, they gave them yes or no signs, like little signs on a popsicle stick that said yes or no, and they would ask them yes or no questions, and they had to hold up the sign. Well, one of the questions was, is Israel committing a genocide in Gaza? And immediately the candidates on his left and on his right held up the sign and said yes. And Scott Wiener refused to hold up his sign. And Scott Wiener is a huge Israel supporter, has always been. And he got a lot of backlash for this. Well, he decided to put out oh, you're right, Danny, that was at the Santa Cruz Civic. I saw some Long Beach Dub All-Stars at the Catalyst. Cool. It's such a cool venue though. All right, let's listen to Scott Wiener groveling because he got so much backlash for saying that Israel is not committing a genocide in Gaza.
For those of you who saw the debate clip from last week, I want to clarify that I do believe Israel has committed genocide in Gaza, and I want to explain why I hesitated at the debate. For the past 2 years, I have harshly opposed Israel's escalations in Gaza, and I've used phrases like total destruction and catastrophic levels of death and moral stain. But I haven't used the word genocide, and I want to explain why. As a Jew, I am deeply aware that the word genocide was created in the wake of the Holocaust, which was the industrial extermination of 6 million Jews. For many Jews, associating the word genocide with the Jewish state of Israel is deeply painful and frankly traumatic. But despite that pain and that trauma, we all have eyes, and we see the absolute devastation and catastrophic death toll in Gaza inflicted by the Israeli government. And we all have ears, and we hear the genocidal statements by certain senior members of the Israeli government. And to me, the Israeli government has tried to destroy Gaza and to push Palestinians out, and that qualifies as genocide.
Well, yeah, I know. Raz Tradimus, nice to see you, man. I know, Scott. I rarely agree with Scott Wiener, but I don't think he was doing this because I don't think he has any moral foundation. And I think he's just saying what he thinks people want to hear. Though, I mean, whether you want to call it a genocide, or an ethnic cleansing, like, it doesn't really matter at this point what you call it. Everybody can see what's going on. But I don't want to get into the whole Israel conversation. But Gavin Newsom got asked the exact same question by one of the other most annoying people on earth, Ben Shapiro. And Gavin starts squirming because he does not want to answer this question at all. And it's funny that Ben Shapiro does an interview with Gavin Newsom, and there's so many things that he could have been pushing really hard to get answers on. But his biggest concern was, Gavin, what's your stance on Israel? That was Ben's biggest concern. It wasn't, what have you done to California?
Democrats have now been dragged into this conversation, some run with, flags waving, into the conversation.
This notion of genocide.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Israel did not commit a genocide in Gaza. There is no standard by which Israel committed a genocide in Gaza, just on a factual level.
Just as a legal and factual level.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your opinion of this?
My opinion is, I understand the tendency for people to make that, to assert that.
Why?
On the basis of the images and the proportionality.
Ugly shit doesn't mean genocide?
No.
Yeah, but trying to get rid of every last Palestinian in Gaza, like, by the definition of the word genocide, it does. They're trying to completely displace every single person in Gaza and turn it into freaking another, what do they call, like another Las Vegas, essentially. And yeah, like, I don't care what you call it at this point, but they're trying to push out or kill every last Palestinian. They're trying to turn it into a parking lot and then build it into whatever they want. How could, like,
and by the way, I agree with you.
And international and proportionality doesn't mean that if you kill my child and I then kill 7 criminals, that I've been disproportionate.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think but I understand that tendency on the basis of trying to reconcile the proportionate nature of how the war was ultimately conducted.
I have a question. Why do you feel the need to create a permission structure for that sort of stuff? I mean, meaning it's not true.
Yeah.
Why not just say it's not true?
Yeah, look, I don't know the definition, or I don't know the legal threshold. That's not my opinion, so I don't share that opinion as it relates to genocide. I do not agree with that notion.
But you do understand that if you accuse Israel of committing a genocide, that now puts Israel in the position of it should be a pariah state, because states that commit genocide should be pariah states.
Yeah.
So granting legitimacy to that position inherently.
I'm not granting legitimacy. I'm just saying the devastation in Gaza at the human level. You've got 4 kids.
Of course, it's terrible.
No, but I think it's also important to absorb that a little bit more. Just as it was sick and we were clear in our condemnation, these people like me, as it relates to what Hamas did in that act of barbarism and terrorism.
Yeah, but there's
that
a
was
difference
crystal
between
clear. That's a
deliberate
red line.
terrorism
Yeah.
and wartime collateral damage, of course. And if we
And
refuse to acknowledge that reality,
Yeah.
then we end up
The
equating
collateral
terrorist
damage.
groups with legitimate
I have
government.
stronger opinions. It wasn't just collateral.
Really?
say-
You think that Israel is
I think-
targeting civilians?
I
Yes.
think some of the double tapping issues. I have a lot of issues with how Bibi ultimately conducted the war. I personally do, and I have a lot of issues that are also painted on the basis of the conversation I had when a few weeks later after October 7th, the way he talked about the Palestinians. I kept talking about Hamas. He kept talking about the Palestinians. I kept coming back to Hamas, and then ultimately how the war was conducted. Not saying it was a genocide. I'm not. But I have issues.
What
with
is the
that.
thing that he said that you particularly?
There was a dehumanization. I didn't like the way he talked about the Palestinian people. I just didn't.
What is the specific? thing
They
that he
can't
said?
govern them. I didn't. The specific. I don't want to get into the details.
The
of the
reason I'm
conversation
asking is
with the Prime
because
Minister.
because when you suggest that he is conflating Hamas and the Palestinians,
He wasn't
and of course it
conflating,
does
he-
lead to the conclusion.
They
that
were
you seem
different.
to
It
be
wasn't.
avoiding.
No. It was. I'm just saying the way he ultimately conducted it. I look back at that conversation. I reflect on rather that conversation. It doesn't surprise me, and I did not think it was proportionate.
Okay,
and I thought it was overwhelming, and the devastation and destruction breaks my heart.
Okay, so you're president of the United States. Somebody invades from Mexico. They take several thousand American citizens.
I get it.
hostage.
By the way,
they hold them.
To use Ben Shapiro's example, imagine somebody invades the United States from Mexico and it takes our military 7 hours to respond. Wouldn't you start to ask questions there? Like, hey, did our military allow this to happen in order to justify completely leveling Mexico to take over the land? Because, I mean, even Charlie Kirk, the most pro-Israel guy out there, was asking that question. Did they allow this to happen in order to justify what they are still doing almost 2 years later in Gaza, to turn it into a parking lot and then ultimately build it up into a new Las Vegas?
All the way until the end of the war. Until the end of the war, their hostages being held.
Don't get me wrong on any of this. I'm with you in terms of the ultimate accountability and bringing the hostages home. I like the clarity and conviction as it relates to getting all the hostages dead and alive home, and all of that. I'm not denying that.
By the way, Hamas still has not been extirpated in the areas where Israel has left them alone.
And clearly this truce and détente is still a work in progress. There's been a lot of destruction.
Well, because
There's been
Hamas
a
was
lot of-
supposed to be disarmed, and
yeah.
they didn't.
Look, I'm crystal
No,
clear about
but
Hamas.
the point is that
crystal clear about Hamas.
Right, but the point is that I think
And I'm
shifting
also
blame
crystal clear in
onto
my love for Israel and my condemnation of Bibi. And there's a distinction. I condemn Donald Trump. I love my country.
See how wishy-washy he's being? He won't take a stance. He's awful. All right, let's keep going here. There's a little more. Now it's Gavin and Trump have been beefing ever since Trump got into office. But apparently Trump is going to be taking over the rebuilding process of the Palisades. So this is from Eric Doherty. He says, President Trump just stunned Gavin Newsom by signing an executive order for the feds to take over the LA wildfire rebuild and permitting process. Newsom has failed and Trump is saving the people. Oh, God. The generational failure will be on the front page in 2028 when Gavin tries to run for president against J.D. Vance, one of the worst governors in modern history. I don't agree with that last statement. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully this will help the permitting process, because remember Gavin even said, I'm going to fast track the permitting process, and there's like 4 houses being built in the Palisades. Yeah, it's not really fast tracked. But Gavin, or Trump rather, continuously hands Gavin talking points on a silver platter. So I don't know if you guys saw this video of Trump talking. This is after the shooting of Alex Pretty in Minnesota, and Trump was speaking with a reporter, and it's kind of hard to hear what he says here because of the helicopter in the background, and I'm hoping there's further context. He's talking about going into a specific place or something, but Trump, you can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns. Reporter, what about the Second Amendment? Trump, you can't walk in with guns. Where are you talking about, Trump? You better be talking about like the White House or something like that, because yeah, you can walk around with guns. That's exactly what it's for. Trump, and the shit he's been saying and shit a lot of people on the right have been saying regarding the Second Amendment is highly concerning. So let's listen to Trump here. Pardon the helicopter noise. So it does sound like he's talking about Minnesota there. So, and then, so Gavin takes this clip, and again, so Trump just keeps handing Gavin talking points on a silver platter. And anybody in California knows that Gavin is the most anti-Second Amendment governor that California's ever had. I mean, the 10-round magazine capacity bullshit, you got to get a background check just to purchase ammo, the 10-day waiting period to purchase a firearm. You're only allowed to purchase so many firearms in a week. California has its own special gun roster where you're only allowed to buy firearms that are on that roster. Like, gun manufacturers have to make guns specifically for California. Like, you have to have a magazine in the pistol in order for it to fire. So you guys know that I use this example a lot. You know the scene from Breaking Bad when the two twins with the axe are trying to murder what was his name? The bald ATF guy. He was or DEA guy, whatever it was. And he's on the ground. He's all messed up, and the guy's coming over with the axe, and he's looking around. And he sees his gun, and there's one bullet on the ground, but there's no magazine in the gun. He drops the round into the chamber, racks it just in time, and freaking shoots the guy in the head. Well, if he was in California, he wouldn't have been able to do that because you can't fire a pistol if the magazine's not in the gun. So that's all guns in California have to operate that way, and it's sort of infuriating. Okay, let's so yeah, Gavin Newsom, in regards to what Trump just said there, says nothing is sacred in Trump's America, not the First Amendment, not the Second, not even life itself. We the people will not allow the Trump administration to erode our rights. It's insane. There's no one more anti-Second Amendment than Gavin Newsom, and he tries to pretend that he's not. It's frustrating. And then there's this here. So this is just a funny situation because apparently the word Epstein is being banned on TikTok right now. Like, TikTok is being more heavily censored than it ever has been, even though it is no longer in control of the Chinese Communist Party. Now it's under control of Larry Ellison, who is one of the biggest private contributors to the IDF. For some reason, the word Epstein has been censored on that. And people are taking it as, well, Gavin says, it's time to investigate. I am launching a review into whether TikTok is violating state law by censoring Trump-critical content. So, yeah, I don't think they're doing it to protect Trump. Epstein, Israel, and I hope Gavin launches this investigation because I have a feeling this investigation will get shut it down real quick because they'll realize that it's not actually Trump negative content that they're censoring. They're trying to censor other types of content on that platform. Kristen Flowers, I cannot believe this is the world we live in. I don't even know what you're referring to because that statement could be applied to pretty much anything that we've talked about tonight. So, yeah. But again, Trump handing Gavin talking points on a silver platter, the whole Epstein fiasco. Like, why have we still not seen the files? I'm pretty sure 30 days has gone by. So, yeah. All right. So you guys know Trump pulled us out of the World Health Organization. Well, Gavin just announced that California will be the first state to join the World Health Organization. So California is going to join it somehow because countries join it. I don't get that. But this is in direct defiance of Donald Trump, who just pulled the United States out of the World Health Organization. So aren't you guys happy about that? California will be part of the World Health Organization somehow, even though the United States is not. And from the last I knew, California is part of the United States, but whatever. Okay, we'll keep going there. All right, so let's talk about the whole mileage tax thing. So this is really happening. Rostradamus, possibly the Mossad on behalf of Israel. Well, it's Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison is just a huge supporter of Israel, and he He put his son in charge of CBS, and they put Barry Weiss in charge of CBS, and it's just been. Barry Weiss posted something on Upscroll the other day that was just insane about a CBS journalist that was killed in Gaza. All right, let's talk about the mileage tax thing that they're proposing. And I don't know how they're going to implement this, but let's listen to Dr. David Ameti talking about it. So, despite the nation's highest gas tax, electric, and car registration, Gavin Newsom and the Democrats are planning a mileage tax. The more you drive, the more you pay. And LA plus San Francisco planning congestion pricing, with both cities always congested. You always pay $5 to $10 in time you drive congested zones. Their plan is in plain English below Metro. Same people who hid buses carrying Melania Trump movie ads. Oh, that's funny. Rich are fine, but poor and middle class suffer and are forced into transit, or as document says below, walking, biking, commuting off hours, or not commuting at all. So I work in the trades, and pretty much every tradesman that has to commute a very long way, and they're driving a vehicle that carries 10-foot ladders, thousands of pounds of tools in many cases. You can't take public transit if you're a tradesman. You can't. You have to carry too many materials to get them to the job site. The job sites are all over the Bay Area. This mileage tax is going to impact them the most. None of these people had to try biking 10 miles through LA with 2 kids on and their groceries or Costco purchases. We're being taxed to death. None of these things improves traffic or transportation times. Mayor Karen Bass just decided to make more money for homeless by nearly halting all road repairs. Does this sound like someone who cares? Why do people keep voting for this? Union members, SEIU, names a bunch of other people, who blindly support these progressive candidates. Please ask this question. Are they really helping you or making your union bosses much richer? You are the ones who will be most impacted by the mileage taxes and congestion pricing, on top of the highest gas and electric prices and vehicle taxes. And if sufficient people switch to bikes, mark my words, they will impose a biking tax. Don't believe me? They pushed EVs so hard that they lost gas tax revenue, so now they impose an EV tax. They pushed solar so hard that big utilities like SCE and PG&E lost money, and Newsom took away the biggest reason to have solar, which was if you get solar on your house and you end up storing more energy than you use, you can sell that money back to PG&E. PG will actually pay you. They took that away. You don't get those reimbursements anymore. That was the biggest reason to get solar in the first place. So we'll keep going. So a lot of you guys may be asking, like, how are they going to implement a gas tax? What are they going to do? Are they going to check the mileage on your vehicle at the beginning of the year and then check the mileage on your vehicle at the end of the year and then add it on top of your car registration? Like, is that what they're going to have to do? Because, I mean, just that right there, like, who's going to do that? Are they going to make you report it? And then, so like, that's one way. I think the way they're going to do it is they are going to force everyone to put a fast track device in their vehicle that also tracks how many miles that you drive. I think that's what they're going to do, personally. But we'll see. We'll see how they implement this, if they decide to implement it at all. So let's go over to Alexandra Macedo. I think that's how you say her name. She says, Sacramento's latest plan, a mileage tax. As California switched to EVs, gas revenue is dropping, so the state is looking to tax every mile you drive. This disproportionately hits rural residents and long-distance commuters, like myself. We already pay the highest gas taxes in California. Should we really be adding a mileage tax on top of it? And again, these people that are commuting really far, like myself, already have the carpool lane taken away from us because they turned them into toll lanes. They already are charging us in every possible way that we use the roads. The $1.40 per gallon on top of the gas prices, the insane car registrations, the ever-increasing toll charges when you go across bridges, and now they turned commuter lanes, Danny, into toll lanes that you have to pay to use. So that's 4 different ways that they're extracting money from the middle class in order to just use the roads. And now they're talking about a mileage tax on top of that. It's bonkers. All right, let's watch this video, see what she has to say.
Governor Gavin Newsom is determined to push Californians out of regular cars and into so-called zero-emission vehicles. But as drivers switch to electric cars, gas tax revenues drop, leaving Sacramento politicians looking for a new way to make more money from you, the taxpayers. Their solution? A so-called road usage charge, a tax on every mile you drive. That means rural and suburban residents pay more. Commuters who moved further away from work for affordable rent or housing pay more. And families already struggling with high costs get hit again. This tax could be stacked on top of the already highest in the nation gas tax, with no guarantee drivers won't be double taxed and no promise the money will fix our roads. This plan simply isn't fair. It benefits wealthy EV drivers and forces low-income drivers to shoulder the tax burden. For more updates on California's failed policies, follow this page.
Yeah, so for the guy that's driving a 24-year-old Honda Civic that can barely afford to put gas into it so he can get to work to barely afford his rent, now is going to have to fork out more money just because of the distance that he drives, because he had to move so far away from the job site that because he can't afford rent locally. Now they're going to be hitting that guy the most. It's infuriating. The middle class is being destroyed in California, all because of California policies. So Carl DeMaio decided to get in front of the California Assembly and talk about this. Let's see what he has to say.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to AB 1421 and urge that this body instead go in a different direction on this topic of a California mileage tax. When you add up the car tax, the gas tax, and this new mileage tax, for a family with 2 cars, a working family with 2 parents driving, they would have to pay $4,200 a year to the state of California just for the privilege of driving on crappy roads.
On top of the gas tax, on top of the toll charges, on top of the toll lanes, and on top of their current vehicle registration.
$4,200, and that's after their income taxes. That doesn't include gas price. It doesn't include the car, the insurance. What are we thinking here? And so my amendment would gut the bill, which initiates a statewide mileage tax, and instead goes the other direction, saying that no locality can try to do what San Diego County did by imposing a local mileage tax, and that we certainly are not going to be moving forward with a state mileage tax.
Wait, San Diego implemented a local mileage tax? Any of you guys from San Diego know about this? That's insane. CC Pino, nice to see you. Thanks for sharing the stream, man. I know it's never ending and you don't blame people for leaving. I don't either, but it does bug me when people leave and then just endlessly talk shit about the people that are still here trying to fight this nonsense.
Urge your support for this amendment.
I move to lay the amendments on the table.
The clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. The majority leader is asking for an aye vote. Mr. DeMaio is asking for a no vote.
So these are all the people that voted for the gas tax, all of the green. And the one that stands out the most to me right here is Pellerin, Gail Pellerin right here. And this mileage tax thing might be what pushes me over the edge. I've been going back and forth on whether I want to run for state assembly because of how much of a pain in the ass it was to run for state senate. And they're auditing me, by the way. The California Franchise Tax Board is auditing me over my run for the state senate. They're not auditing the guy I was running against, who raised, I think it was $1.3 million. I raised around 10 grand, but they decided to audit me, not him. Isn't that interesting? So that, in my opinion, that whole thing was just to keep, little peons like me from running again. Did you guys know that how expensive it is just to run for office? Like there's the filing fees, but on top of that, they send out an election like catalog that gives descriptions of all the candidates that are running in the catalog. They send it out to every voter. Well, in order to get your name listed in that catalog, it's an insane amount of money. When I ran for state senate, I'm running in multiple counties. I'm running in Santa Cruz County, Monterey County, part of Santa Clara County, and San Benito County, and part of I think that's it. I think that was all the counties for District 17. So I would have had to pay to get my name in all of those different county voter guides. I believe that's what they're called, voter guides. It would have cost me over $3,000 to do it, just to get my name in there. So I had to run without getting my name in there. So a lot of people didn't even know I existed. They're auditing me though. So Gail Pellerin voting to tax Californians for every mile that they drive, this might push me to run because it's insane. I don't know. I don't know though. I don't know if I should run. CCP, me too. Not everyone can retreat. Someone has to stay and fight. That's why I love your platform. Thank you, man. Dude, that means a lot. It really does. Kristen Flowers, I agree. Why isn't Schellenberger running for governor? Good question. I mean, I like that guy a lot. I really do. He's going to be on Tara Palmieri's show coming up soon. My buddy Eric is the producer over for that show, and it should be an interesting conversation. You guys should check that one out. Tara Palmieri, if you don't follow her. She's cool. She's pretty moderate. Yeah, I like her. So check her show out. CZ Pino, do it. You guys, let me know in the chat. Should I run? Just let me know. I got like a month to decide if I want to. I recently got a phone call from the California Libertarian Party, and they said, "Hey, your registration has expired with the California Libertarian Party. Would you like to re-register?" And without even thinking, I just said, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing that." And they asked why, and I said, "The Libertarian Party's I no longer believe that I align with the California Libertarian Party, and that's primarily because of the whole Chase fiasco and how they handled there was a lot of shenanigans that went on in regards to how the Libertarian Party picked their candidate for president in 2024, and the Libertarian Party is just a mess. So I decided not to re-register with the Libertarian Party, and I actually changed my voter registration reluctantly to Republican. So for the first time in my life, I'm registered as a Republican. I was a registered Libertarian for the entire time that I was registered to vote. So 10 years. I didn't register to vote until I was 25 years old. But actually, 15 years, I guess now, 17 years. And been registered as Libertarian that whole time, and no longer. So interesting. Matty Bracco, he would be great. I think there are some good runners popping up. Libertarian Party in California is liberal in disguise. Yeah, I mean, not all of them, but I mean, that's the thing about the Libertarian Party is you have liberals and you have conservatives, because the whole foundation of libertarianism is that you don't want the government imposing their political beliefs basically on the populace. So you get people that are against the government from both sides of the aisle joining the Libertarian Party. So that's kind of how that works out. All right, let's keep going here.
Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 43, noes 21. The amendments are laid on the table.
So yeah, there's that. Let's keep going. We got one more. Okay, that was that's just who voted for it. And Gail Pellerin, who's my assembly member, is who I would have to run against if I chose to run. So that's definitely making me think about it. All right, so not going to go with that one. So last thing, you heard Gavin Newsom earlier talking about how the California population grew. It did not. The California population. This is from KTLA, they're huge fans of Gavin Newsom. So U.S. population growth stalls. California loses residents. And listen why. Population growth in the United States slowed to a crawl last year due to a historic decline in net migration, the U.S. Census Bureau said Tuesday. The nation's population grew just 0.5%, an increase of 1.8 million people between July 1st, 2024 and July 1st, 2025, marking the slowest annual growth since the early months of COVID-19. The drop in international migration was especially steep, falling from 2.7 million to 1.3 million over a year, with birth rates and deaths remaining relatively stable compared to the year prior. The sharp decline in net international migration is the main reason for the slower growth rate we see today. I wonder why. I wonder why there's less net international migration. Notice I don't say whether it's legal or illegal, said Christine Hartley, a Census Bureau data expert. The Midwest was the only region where the states gained population during the 12-month period. California, meanwhile, continued its year-long pattern of stagnant growth and slight declines. The state's population dipped from 364,774 people to 39,355,309 people, a net loss of about 10,000 residents. Despite the lowest net migration, the Golden State still added 109,000 immigrants. Interesting. So it seems that closing down the border has stalled California's population growth. So what does that tell you? It tells you that California's population growth is primarily due to illegal immigration. Native Californians are fleeing en masse, and they are driving illegal immigration into California due to free healthcare, driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants can get pretty much any job in California. And it would actually seem that as long as you're a legal resident, you can become a police officer in California as well. And San Francisco is the first police municipality to enforce or use that policy. So it's it's kind of insane. Kind of insane, people. So all right, didn't go as long as I thought it was going to go tonight. About an hour and 45. So that's good. That's what I wanted to cover. I wanted to get through all the California stuff before Sunday because there's a bunch of other stuff that we need to talk about that is not California stuff, primarily Iran, because there's people just beating the war drum right now, and it's 2005 or whatever year that was all over again. It's the same rhetoric too, that we need to bring democracy to Iran. That's what it is. They just need some democracy. And yeah, so there's just tons of people pulling for war with Iran right now, and we've got ships. I can't remember what aircraft carrier, a whole armada of ships heading towards Iran right now. And I mean, shit, by tomorrow night, who knows? We could be at war with Iran from all I can tell. So we'll see what pops off at the end of the week here and into the weekend and whatever other news pops up. But I'll be back Sunday night at 6:00. And thank you guys all for joining me for this random Thursday stream. I'm trying to stream more. This is something I do as a hobby, but yeah, I mean, very low viewership, but I appreciate all of you guys that actually tune in. So, Kristen Flowers, don't worry about being late. It's yeah, I'm just glad you're here. Cece Pino, Kristen, Danny, thanks for hanging out. Ross Tradamus, Maddie Bracco, Danger, I saw you in there earlier. I think you're probably still here. Wally World, I saw you. I think I got all you guys. So Rumble chat did not pop up tonight. I think I was quiet over on Rumble tonight, so we'll see. But yeah, if you guys made it this far, please like and please hit the like button on whatever platform you're watching on. If you're watching on X, I'd really appreciate it if you went over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Share the stream in whatever way you can. Tell your friends. Watch the show. And yeah, that is all I got for tonight. But you know how we do it. You know the rules. Before we get out of here, we got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written. Well, the sequel to this greatest book ever written. This is Chuck Norris Cannot Be Stopped. And this book was courtesy of my buddy Danger here in the chat. These are the rules. I open up the book. My eyes go to a joke and I read the joke. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's not. Let's see what we got for the Chuck Norris joke of the evening. Chuck Norris can create enough wind power with one roundhouse kick to power Sri Lanka for 40 days. And on that note, stay CaliBased.